As a former IRS enrolled agent, here's the villain origin story of the IRS. During the Civil War, Lincoln needed money to fund the Union troops. So he created a temporary income tax, and it was like 3% tax, and he created an organization to collect that. That organization we today call the IRS. It wasn't called that then. So then jump forward to 1913, and we have the 16th Amendment that permanently codifies the collection of income tax. By World War I, so again, it started as a 3% tax, 3% temporary tax. By World War I, we need a lot more money for war now. The highest tax bracket, 77%. 77%. And everyone said, if you raise the income tax bracket that high, nobody's going to work. Everybody's going to flee the country. Not true. They all stayed here and had no problem somehow managed to deal with the 77% income tax. And that was at a time they didn't have the type of tax deductions and tax breaks that we have today. So they weren't nearly as capable of evading taxes like we can today. And yet still, the U.S. economy, what has it done since World War I? It's boomed. It's tremendously taken off. Then came Prohibition, and this is when the IRS took a turn into corruption. This is when the villain was born. This is when the villain spread his wings. So he may have been pretty innocuous before that. But during Prohibition, as we know, how do the biggest criminals in America go down? What happened to Al Capone? The IRS. Okay, so what happens during Prohibition? You have all these people, and you have the government send out revenue agents into all these towns, crawling around up in the mountains looking for stills, for the sole purpose of collecting income tax on the illegal sale of alcohol. Because whether your earnings are legal or not, it is illegal not to claim them. You can have illegal money. You still need to report it to the IRS and pay taxes on it, or you're going to get a tax evasion claim. So at that time, they're crawling around in the mountains of Virginia and Kentucky and everywhere else, finding these stills. And what do? They start taking bribes. Then there's extortion, political hit jobs. In the 50s, 66 agents were fired for taking bribes. 66 separate agents. But did that clean them up? No. Fast forward to the 60s, and JFK starts weaponizing the IRS against his right-wing foes, which sounds a little Trumpy to me. Then, of course, there's Watergate, where Nixon goes down, and one of his impeachment charges had to do with IRS abuse. But the scandals continue. Clinton, Obama, Trump, doesn't matter which side you're on, they're going to weaponize the IRS. But here's the little twist. The IRS may actually be the hero of the story. They're just coming up against kryptonite in the form of crooked politicians. They do serve a valuable purpose. They could be the hero of the people because they are collecting the money that is used to deliver social services that we absolutely depend upon, like your Social Security check. But Congress keeps slashing their budget, and that is not an accident, because who stands to pay the most to the IRS? The wealthy, who are funding the politicians, who own the politicians. It costs a lot more money to audit a billionaire than it costs to audit Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Mr. and Mrs. Jones don't have a team of tax lawyers and CPAs to take into their audit. I mean, these ultra wealthy individuals, they will massively outgun the Internal Revenue Service. And they're gonna have lawyers that are, smarter and probably know the tax code even better than the IRS agents do. And if you need